Hey guys, welcome back. Tim Knox here on YouTube on the Author Code videocast. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope you're getting a lot done. Authors, you've been writing today. How many words have you written? Don't you hate those authors who they get out on Facebook and they get in the groups and they go, well, I've written 10,000 words today. Well, good for you. Good for you. I have a life. I've written 1,000 words today. Anyway, that's what we talk about on this show. Anything to do with authorship, publishing, whether it's self-publishing, traditional publishing. As you know, I have written a number of books. I have probably ghostwritten over 50 books now and edited probably that many. So I know of what I speak. See, that's why I write, because I don't talk so good. Anyway, this is the show where you ask the questions and I provide the answer. Today's question comes from Ronnie. And you can see Ronnie asked a question that requires notes. So I wrote this down. Ronnie's question was, hey, Tim, I just finished my book. Should I now hire an agent? Well, Ronnie, congratulations on finishing the book. I'm very happy for you. Now, before I answer your question directly, I want to just ask you a couple of questions. First of all, you say you've finished your book. Now, does that mean you just finished writing it? You know, I'm done. Yay, party time. Have you had it edited? Have you let anyone else read it? And the reason I'm asking you these questions, Ronnie, is not to put you on the spot, but to let you know that before you even think about getting an agent, your book has to be as good as it can be. Okay? And the most direct answer to your question, you say, how I finished my book, should I hire an agent? You do not hire agents, Ronnie. That's not how the process works. An agent is a professional in the publishing industry who takes you on, takes writers on as clients, and then seeks to place their work with publishers. So you don't hire an agent. If you've got someone who says they are an agent and they want you to give them money, run screaming, because they're not an agent. They're a crook. All right? Agents do not charge you money. You do not hire an agent. You have to query that agent and try to get them to take you on as a client. I wish it was as easy as hiring an agent. Trust me. So that's the short answer is you don't hire an agent. You query an agent and you try to get an agent to rep your work. But I go back to what I was talking about originally is before you go to the trouble of querying an agent, your work needs to be as good as it can be. It needs to be in tip-top shape. That means that you've gone through several iterations on your own of editing. All right. That's one thing that we authors get so tired of our own work, because if you slave over an 80,000, 100,000 word book, you've been working on it for months. Holy crap, you're sick of the damn thing by the time it's over, aren't you? Been there, done that, got the salmon t-shirt to prove it. So when you say you've finished with your book, does that mean you have edited it? Has it gone through edits? Have you taken the time to edit it yourself? Have you had other people edit the book? Okay. So before you send it off, you got to make it as good as it can be. Now here's why. Because agents are very busy people and they only accept a small percentage of new clients every year. And it's just a matter of math. There are only so many publishers who publish so many books, and there are so many agents trying to sell them those books. And then there are millions of authors who are trying to get that agent's attention. So that's why your work must be as good as it can be before you query the agent. Okay. So here's the process. If you decide to self-publish the book yourself, you don't need an agent. You just get on Kindle or CreateSpace and you publish your book and you have a party, okay? But if you want to place your book with one of the big publishers like a Random House or a Penguin or a Harlequin or whoever, you're going to need an agent to submit your work, because most publishers do not accept unsolicited work from nobodies like you and me, Ronnie. If we're Obamas, they come and knock on the door and hand you an $80 million check. It's great. But For people like us, no, it's not the way it works. So if you want to go the traditional route, you have to have an agent who will submit your work. Okay. Now, let's look at it from the agent's standpoint. There are only so many hours in the day. They can only take on so many clients. So they're only going to work with the clients that they feel they have the best chance of selling their work. They may love your book, but if they don't believe they can place it with a publisher, they're not going to take you on as a client. So again, it goes back to the marketability of your work. It goes to the fact that agents can only work with so many clients, and there are only so many books that they're going to place. So what is the process of getting an agent to rep your work? Well, once your work is as good as it can be, I know I'm beating the crap out of that dead horse. The way it works is you have to query an agent. And a query simply means that you send them an email introducing yourself, introducing your work, and asking if they would like to see more. Now, before you do that, you should spend some time online researching agents that are specifically interested in the genre of your book. For example, if you've written a romance and you query an agent who doesn't rep romance, you've wasted their time and yours. I'm going to put a link in below to a website that I think is fantastic where you can research literary agents. But it's very important before you query an agent, make sure that they're an agent that works with your kind of book. So once you do that, you start the query process. And we're not going to go in really deep here because querying is an art unto itself. There's a lot of information online. Go out and search for how to write an effective query letter. So what you do is you email typically the query, you introduce yourself, your work, you ask for representation, and you're going to get one of three or four responses. Either a flat out rejection, which is what most people get. We authors, we compete to see who can get the most rejection letters. So chances are that's what you're going to get. And it's going to be a form letter. You know, we get so many submissions every year. We can only work with so many authors. It's not you. It's us. Whatever. Move on. You've got to have a very thick skin when you're an author because you are going to get, I've got so many rejection letters. I wallpaper my master bath with them. Okay. So rejection is part of the process. Don't let it get you down. It's nothing personal. It's just business. Kind of like on The Sopranos when they'd shoot a guy in the head and stuff him in a trunk and take him over to Jersey and bury him by the interstate. It's just business. It's not personal. So you may get a flat out rejection, which is probably what you're going to get. You might get a request for more, meaning that they may come back and say, your query sounds interesting. Please send us the first 3 chapters of the book. Send us the first 100 pages or send us a synopsis. And if you don't know what a synopsis is, you have no business even querying an agent. Go do some frickin' research, Ronnie. Jesus. So they may ask for more. They may ask for what's called a revise and resubmit. That's the R&R. And that is not an entirely bad thing. Basically, they've taken the time to usually read your work. Okay, this is after you've submitted them some chapters to read. And they say, well, in its current state, we don't feel we can market your work. However, if you would like to revise and resubmit based on our input, we'd be happy to take a look. Now, a lot of authors get really upset when they get an R&R. I think it's great because you've got an agent who is an industry professional actually telling you how to fix your work. So if you get an R&R, then you have to decide, okay, do I want to go on and find another agent who's not going to make me work? Or do I want to revise and resubmit to this agent? Or, hey, if the planets line up and the gods are in a good mood, you might get accepted. You might actually get a response back from the agent saying, let's talk. Let's talk. And so typically what happens next is you have a telephone conversation, and the conversation is a two-way street. A lot of authors are so damn excited that they're talking to an agent, they will slit their wrists and bleed just to get this agent to talk to them and sign them. That's not the way it works. Keep in mind that you need that agent as much as they need you. They're looking for good quality work. They're looking for solid authors that they can rep. So when you get on the phone, interview that agent. Ask which books has he sold in the past? What authors has he worked with? What does he think the chances are of your work in the marketplace? Really talk to that agent, because you may, at the end of the day, decide, this agent really isn't for me. There may be a personality conflict, or what they see for your book may not be what you see. So if you do get to that point, Ronnie, make sure that you have a very open, honest conversation. The agent's not going to mind. They would rather get all this out front than deal with it later. So now, here's one mistake that a lot of authors make when they do get an agent. Just because you get an agent does not mean your book is going to sell. Hate to tell you that, Ronnie, but it's the truth. The agent may take on your book, but they may not be able to place it in the marketplace. And there could be a variety of reasons. Perhaps the publisher already has a book similar to yours in work, or they just published something like that, or they just don't like your work. Maybe the agent just was wrong. Maybe he couldn't sell it. So just because you get an agent does not mean your book is going to sell. Don't go down to the lot and buy a new Cadillac on credit, Ronnie, because, you're counting your chickens before they hatch, as we say here. So keep in mind, even though you've got an agent, the book might not sell, or it might not sell quickly. It might take several months, if not longer, for a book to place. Also keep in mind, Ronnie, that if the book doesn't sell, the agent might cut ties with you, or you might cut ties with them. Remember, this is a fluid relationship. Rolling with the homies, Ronnie. That's the key. Now, here's something that you have to think about as an author. What are your expectations? Because I guarantee you, Ronnie, you're going to be disappointed. I remember with my first book, when I got my agent, man, I'm going to buy this. I'm just on top of the world. And that book did very well, but it very well could have tanked. And so, what are your expectations? Now, if you're expecting that agent to immediately make a couple of phone calls and start a bidding war for your book, no, chances are, that, unless you're Nicholas Sparks and Jesus loves you personally, that's never going to happen. Or you might get an offer for the book, but there's a very small advance and it's really not monetarily. You got to remember that 99% of books lose money, and yours might be one of them. So the point there is, I'm not trying to rain on your parade, Ronnie. I'm just telling you to have realistic expectations. And just because you get an agent does not mean your book is going to sell. And if it does sell, does not mean it's going to be a bestseller. Wow, this is really a bummer of a show. I'm depressing myself. I'm going to have to go put on black or something. So anyway, Ronnie, the point is, go into it with your eyes wide open. Understand how the process works. You do not hire an agent. You submit your information, your manuscript to the agent, and hope that they will rep you. If they do offer to rep you, do that interview. Make sure the relationship is something you want to pursue, and then let the agent do their job. Don't call them every day wanting to know what's going on with your book, because they'll get tired of that shit really quickly. I know. Trust me on this one. All right. So what do you do in the meantime, Ronnie? Well, you keep writing. You start writing that next book. Okay. Don't ever think you're going to write one book and that's going to be it. You need to keep writing, because what happens if your first book doesn't sell, but perhaps your second one does, or your third, or your fourth, or your fifth? A lot of authors who are household names now wrote lots and lots of books before they wrote the book that hit the marketplace. All right. So Ronnie, I hope that was helpful, man. I'm proud of you for finishing the book. Just get ready to do the hard work, because, it's just beginning. And another thing, we'll talk about this in another video, is just because your book is picked up by a publisher does not mean that you don't have to do the work to market the book. All right. Publishers basically are glorified printers. All right. They're not glorified marketers, unless you're Obama. And if you're Obama, hey, how you doing? Go Trump. All right. So, hey, if you have a question about publishing or authorship or anything to do with the process, feel free to drop the question in the comments below, or you can email it to me, tim@timknox.com. Get over to timknox.com because I have a lot of resources there for you. Also, subscribe. There's a little button down there that says subscribe. If you click on that, you're going to be kept up to date every time you come to YouTube and I have done a new video. And if you click that bell, if you ring my bell, I'll even send you an email notification because that's the kind of guy I am. Every time I drop a video, you'll get notified. All right. So, Ronnie, I hope that was helpful. I have lost my voice from talking so much. I'm going to go refill my cup and get back to writing because, you know, I haven't written 10,000 words today like some of you bastards. All right, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.